Team Freedom sits one game away from continuing their chase towards the BlizzCon opening week for tomorrow. Endemic Dreadnought, they won their earlier series versus LFM, but they have struggled against the heavy macro pressure of Team Freedom here in their second series.
I think we could just say they've struggled against the Anubarak and the Grey Mane. You know, I mean, that is what we've gotten in both games. If you did not catch those, that has been the rigid compositions here of Freedom. But at this point, you know, if it's not broke, nothing to fix at this point in time. So I expect keep running those strategies going into it. There is no Volskaya, which is a big setback to the Anubarak Grey Mane approach, but it's not like this is the only thing Freedom can play. This is just one of their very well-refined compositions, and Endemic had an answer before, but not today.
See what the battleground will be and whether there is an answer, and if it's in the form of maybe a smaller battleground, something to stop these heavy rotations, and it will be, but Endemic will still ride in the first pick slot as Tomb of the Spider Queen will be picked up by Team Freedom.
I think this is a really cool play as well from Team Freedom. Though Tomb is not necessarily a rare battleground to see in North America, I feel like for Endemic it's been one of the more go-to for some time, and it puts them in a position where I said originally I thought if there's any battleground that they're comfortable on that might be an area where Freedom can't just dismantle things, thought it'd be Tomb. But they just mix it up in the draft order, not give them even an opportunity to select it if they like, and suddenly they've got themselves the second slot.
There is a very interesting point, I think, that's going to come in here, and it's we've seen Lutano just be a monster throughout the year.
Yeah.
He'll play whatever his team needs. We saw them on Gul'dan on this map versus Octalysis. But what we have seen start to spring up more with this double support is the Vala. And it's something that I think when I look at Lutano, if he gets that same type of support, they could just as easily bust out a similar style and have him help them ride themselves to victory. So I'm curious how early that might come through as we see a Genji ban by Endemic.
Interesting choice here that this is where the Genji comes through on Tomb as a ban from Endemic compared to just based on how little focus towards the Genji. It seems like a lot of the teams here have had today a little bit more adjustments when it comes to the ban phase. But we'll see if they have a game plan with that. I think the only tell you could get from that, if anything, it would just be more intent towards that Malthael offlane or maybe something like the Zeratul. White Mane out the ban. Now, Jayhao, if you ban in this situation the Tyrande, I guess you can get it in the 2-3 here. I was going to say, at what point do you Junkrat for Endemic to deal with this? If you're ever going to be afraid of that,
this is probably more forgivable. Maiev has to be considered for a ban.
Yeah. No, I think it is.
Wow, okay. So that answers that question right out of the gate.
What I was going to say is my answer was I think you let it go through because it's going to get picked in the 2-3, and that is still putting you in position to be still threatening enough. It's not going to be a first pick, and you can't deny it yourself, but they just don't want it.
Yoda has always been a very good Tassadar player for this team.
Yeah.
Deckard Maiev. So a pull into a root.
But Johanna's behind that. Way too much control.
I do think that Lutano might be the Maiev player in this situation.
Yeah.
Which then we have to look at Yoda heroes. Raynor, very easy to get behind. But Jaina, though, is another hero that you can get behind, as we'll see the Garrosh pick up.
Cripples Garrosh pretty heavily. Tyrande's pretty good against it, but Raynor suffers into the Jaina matchup. It's a soft counter, if you will, just his lack of mobility, add a slow on top of that, likely to get the initiation desired onto the Raynor. It'll be an interesting choice here if Freedom ends up committing to it here. But overall, I'm a little concerned with the Tyrande Garrosh combo. I haven't seen any in North America yet, or really that many even internationally, that I feel like are at the threat level that Garrosh Tyrande should be. Garrosh came into the meta after Tyrande was out of the meta for a very long time. That's why Diablos, Murdens, things work very synergistically, whereas not too many are too good at the Garrosh combos yet.
Well, you mentioned the pairing Maiev with the Johanna. That will not be available, as Endemic says they don't want to deal with that. So the Diablo, Zugrug Diablo, very well respected. See if we get that. Maybe the Murden.
or the bait and switch. Give us the noob. It's going to be a Diablo Mouthhail pickup from them. Really like how often we see the Mouthhail pairings with the Diablos here in North America this week. Not wanting to deal with that last race because it's value on a Diablo, even if you don't get the kill. Who are we going to get in the off lane here from Endemic? Do we get another support behind this too? I would expect that. Thrall and Mephisto here. Solo support, Thrall off lane.
This is very heavy in the damage department. Very, very heavy in the damage department. But lacking in the survivability department in a lot of ways.
Normally, I would look at that and be like, you know, it's a kill 'em first type circumstance, Jay-How. That's not too bad. Just press your R before they do. But then I want to raise, and it gets further right there with that pickup. I will always bring to light. You can look at how a team fight might unfold on even footing, but that is a game in a vacuum. That is way later than all the minutes before it. And when we look at the minutes before it, how much control, how much enabling in the laning phase are we going to see from Endemic? Unless they have drastically improved on the Garrosh-Tyrande combination that I'm expecting to see come out here. They don't have very much wave clear in the 4-man. They don't have the best of kill potential even when cross-comparing that over to the answers from Team Freedom. If they lose somebody, it's going 1-for-1 in most cases here. And then the wave clear heavily in favor of Freedom. So I just look at this, and though the kill potential may be there, Endemic may never be on the same footing outside of the laning phase here.
The Thrall pickup really shows itself late game. We've seen going into the Feral Spirit at 4, getting that quest, and then going into the level 16, doing percentage-based damage against something like a Diablo. That's such a late game play that you do have to consider a lot in the early game around that wave clear. We haven't seen Mephisto a lot on this battleground. We haven't really seen a lot of Mephisto to kind of really see the highs and lows. We know what to expect in terms of the sustained damage is going to be there, some clear, but getting the type of control with a Garrosh, it's always difficult for me because Garrosh in these drafts has to be the aggressor, has to find ways. And if there's a Diablo and a Maiev, moving forward into that, and there's a Deckard slow, there's a Deckard root, constantly taking care of that, it does make it difficult. You do have indomitable use, but you're essentially the breadwinner when it comes to starting fights.
And there's not that much bread out there, Jay-How. Not with this comp.
Not without that money horse.
No. You seriously never heard that term? Stop being this dead horse until it stops spending on money type deal?
Never heard that variation.
I believe it's, hold up here. Combo comes out. You know what? They make me eat my words within a couple of seconds there. Look at Endemic. Garrosh combo goes through, and it works out good.
One of these days, I'm just going to be like, not agree with you on it, and I'm just going to let it happen because I was in total agreement with you going.
Well, let me.
Oh, Gul'dan.
Oh God, we can talk about some of the differences here. Hold on, no Shadow Charge to escape from this, but no Groundbreaker follow-up. Scroll of Ceiling got a lockdown too. The biggest thing here is that was an EQ on Garrosh, right? Flip into Groundbreaker into Tyrande. That is easy. Anybody can really get that follow-up quite consistently. That is not the concerning part. I want to see the Q into E, the Groundbreaker flip, and then there's the raw Lunar Flare afterwards. So that is the duo that is more realistic as this game moves on. Because in the laning phase, especially at early level 1, you might get a couple of, hey, look, I got me a toss, and then the Groundbreaker after. But those big plays, 13, 15 minutes into this game, that's Groundbreaker into throw. Oh, baby! Have you ever seen a Gul'dan just do, I mean, that much damage? Because
that was insane damage.
Like, normally I'd be like, wow, Maiev is busted, but we have to bring it back to remember the fact that that's not with bonus damage at 4 or resets at 7. That is just a couple of Qs without any amplified damage spec'd in there by Yoda. That was just all Lutano bringing the damages. Gul'dan, he's a pretty good hero sometimes, you know?
That's the highest of value. I don't know if I've ever seen that type of damage. Another slow into the root. Dansky buying space with a penetrating round. That was very much a real threat.
Dansky doesn't have his E, he just died. He legitimately lost 100% of his HP over that skirmish. He went from 50%, popped the E, and ended at 50%. And that's with some armor to boot there. I'm not sure if he had the 4 before the initiation spike happened, but either way, Team Freedom showing some very terrifying team fight capabilities here already within their composition.
If I'm not mistaken, when we saw the Gul'dan on Tomb last week, it was also with the Rejuve potion to try and play into Gul'dan, sacrificing the health for mana. So we see the Rejuve potion picked up again here. Seen once before.
Mephisto trying to get the interrupt there. Shadow Charge combo comes through, but that is one of the perks of Mephisto. I don't want to say it's free delay, because it's definitely not free. He comes at a pretty high cost in most cases, but it's a very reliable here as we see the combo go through. Not going to be successful that time, as the Shadow Charge is there.
Well, you mentioned you wanted to see the combo with the QE into the Tyrande stun. That time they actually had the full EQ combo from Garrosh
and still not iframe, yeah. Not perfect timing there as it comes down again.
He said he got it this time, but Zugrug is stacked right now. Dansky will eat some damage, as will Biggie. Zugrug stands in. 91 souls per Diablo. That's why he's so difficult to take down right now.
Yeah, pretty much a powerhouse. And at level 7, that only gets a lot worse with that reset onto your Fire Stomp, being able to get multiple self-sustain capabilities into the skirmish.
Dude, that build on Diablo, I mean, I love that build.
No, straight up. It's
just, I run out of mana. I'm like, man, I sure am staying alive along. Oh, I'm out of mana.
Oh, no, the best, yeah, the best part is like after you've thrown out 1,000,000 Fire Stomps and a half, you're like, wait a minute, Feast or Fear's 12% of my maximum HP. And you're like, all I gotta do is just Shadow Charge. Anytime you're about to die, just Shadow Charge, and you're like, okay, I got my reset on my W, we're good. And you're just healing away.
7 picked up by Team Freedom first. Lutano sitting at 23 stacks on that corruption just 4 minutes into the game. He had a blistering pace in the beginning. Zugrug will get the toss, the charge in. B-Kid will get a mini toss out as we see the stun come through. No follow-up there. And more corruption stacks.
Nobody able to get a huge advantage when looking towards those turn-ins. Lutano should be able to force the upper hand advantage, the top lane clear for Freedom, and he'll do so, but it comes at the cost of this turn-in for Cure. That was a big play by Endemic to make that rotation down, and I think it was worth it. Having 47 gems on reserves allows you to be very aggressive no matter what situation kind of happens over the next couple of minutes. Nice Lunar Flare onto Collusion. Root gonna land there as B-Kid's the focus for now. Into the fray, used there by B-Kid, understanding that he might be able to survive, but Raynor very much can't. And it turns out they all do. Endemic make it out.
Not too shabby. As we see the Web Weavers will now spawn for Endemic, and that is a very promising sign for them. They've been behind in the early game twice, Dread. This has to give you confidence where there might be confidence lacking. Snazmus will defend here within that wave where he wants to be. Stacks continue to mount 30 out of 40 before that Echoed Corruption is finished.
It's pretty early when looking at the Echoed Corruption.
I'd be very satisfied if that's me in my game.
Yeah, and he just got 3 more. Dansky eating every single tick. Jay-How, if Dansky eats every tick like that in the late game, once that Echoed Corruption is finished, I think he just dies.
Yeah, you know, I'd say that's probably not where you want to be. Another slow with the Sapphire, trying to set up an opportunity. Zugrug and Yoda contemplating whether they went in, but they're like, guys, we have a very good defense. Let's back away. We thwarted this. So Michael Yoda will go in and get some damage, and Yoda meets him directly where he was. Nice into the fray will keep him alive. B-Kid trying to survive on his own, but Nazmus getting involved here, Dread.
Yeah, getting all the healing and without any heroics, no opportunity to get that last right down. Mike Udall coming in, got a lot of damage there. Yoda very, very low in HP. Last little chain lightning out from Cure. And both teams managed to survive here. Endemic taking advantage of the room and space created, able to drop off a couple of gems for themselves. Not enough for a Web Weaver phase. Definitely closing in.
We've seen so many teams, Dread, where you hold on to so many and you're doing well, but then, you lose one stack.
Yeah.
One hero goes, there's 10 or 15. And then another hero dies, and you're like, man, all of a sudden we're struggling. We're behind in experience. We can't get the turn in. It's so important to get a lot of these in, as the Sundering's going to miss right as this Consume Soul comes out. Maybe should have waited for that to go through. Easier to land when they're slowed.
No matter what the case, it was a big setback there from Endemic to go for that double heroic use just to get an isolated pick elsewhere. I thought that was honestly one of the cooler ideas with this composition, is a Sundering plus a, the Consume Souls is a really high burst target. Hold on, who's getting bursted right now is going to be Dansky, but he takes it into the fray after the Horrify and the Warden's Cage goes down. A two-man taunt, and man, Team Freedom taking way too much there into that team fight. Endemic fights back and finds 2 kills in this fight.
Souls reset, gems on the floor. And Team Freedom, they're sitting at around 30 gems. They'll have a few more when they come out of this. But that is, you mentioned a setback. That is a setback if I've ever seen one. Cure, he'll get the root. Be able to sneak his way out. Accidentally harsh the first time. Second time was intentional.
Where do we see Freedom posing here after that setback? Diablo is going to be looking to gain souls through the Wanes. Tomb of the Spider Queen's usually a battleground that's an easy thing to obtain. There was a small setback when it comes to the gems. Looks like it's a Night Camp plus Giant Camp, and then use this downtime to either force a kill to get a pick on this one of those members of Endemic, or force to turn in yourself here.
The Owl went out, but it didn't necessarily go onto that camp. Team Freedom is trying to delay theirs. They know that they're going to be giving up Web Weavers. They'd love to have their camp, which will be defending, as we'll see that picked up in a moment. So they'll have that as a defense. The Owl sniffed that out. Siege camp being dealt with by Endemic in the bot lane.
With the Web Weavers backing up Endemic, they get a little bit of siege damage. They may be able to force with the 13, but man, you see the damage out from Lutano already ridding of that Wizard in the back of that Night Camp.
He's got 39 stacks. He's ready. He's ready to
Sundering.
go. Consume Souls is there. Sundering out as well. Hyperion comes out. Maybe not in sync where they wanted to be, but that will allow them to siege up with the Web Weavers here. Bottom being dealt with by Malthael. Mid fort under assault by Endemic. So there's the Echoed Corruption. Sugra going in, trying to start a fight. Unable to do so.
Combo came through. Endemic still sieging with this middle camp. Lutano's going to be the focus there, falling rarely low, hitting the, as you see, the Web Weaver cast, almost getting a kill there, but has the level 4, able to make sure he gets a couple of heals. And here's the 4-4 play, as you pointed out from Endemic. The cycle, top, middle, and bottom now into their favor, and even have Beacon anchoring just to make sure.
Snipped out there. Don't think they have quite what it takes. Maiev still showing top. Endemic won't siege up. 39 out of 60 needed. Team Freedom with enough now. They want to get back into this game with a Web Weaver cap of their own. Also not too far down in terms of experience.
We're at the point where, because we did get the Shadowstalk pickup, that we might be able to see a clever rotation attempt out from some of the members here of Endemic. Sundering comes through. Lutano drops the Horrify, but he's already going to get one shot there. Now Mikey Dahl on the other side will be able to teleport back as the Shadow Charge came through with the Lornado. 23 seconds till Lutano will in fact be back here.
Scene of the crime.
Fox is the focus.
We saw this in our first series. Team Freedom will respond with the turn in the bottom. They will not try their hand at a throw pit. LFM made a desperate 14-16 engagement in our previous series where LFM came out on top despite the deficit. Web Weavers picked up by Team Freedom. Boss picked up on the other side by Endemic with a 1-level lead in their favor, but that won't be for long if some of these structures start to fall.
Malthael will be able to make it out there. All of Freedom is defending over this bot for now. Endemic tracking it down. There's a Lornado just to try and survive. Indomitable drop. That Malthael's out, or excuse me, Garrosh may be out too far though. Kind of on an island here as we see the flank attempt for a moment. But with the Web Weavers up, not wanting to commit too much here. Boss, Lutano dealt with that a little bit. And now it's going to be backing out with this Web Weaver.
Echoed Corruption is very good for wave clear on this map. That's why that boss was So easily dealt with. Michael Udall, a risky hearth there.
And he gets interrupted.
Gets interrupted. That will be poked along the way. Now the defense will be here at the top. Dansky and team moving forward. Zugrug trying to make a play. No taunt available. It's the Lornado trying to isolate somebody.
Yeah, I really like that play attempt there from Collusion, trying to take advantage of Mike Udall on the Mephisto with the teleport. The scroll of ceiling with the Lornado is a very easy counterplay, much like I think the first thing that everybody learns quickly against Mephisto is if you take Junkrat, the concussion mine's a pretty good counter tool to it. You know, it turns out Deckard can do that as well, as long as you're comfortable throwing out that Lornado.
See, I like my Li Ming. It's like, okay, I'm going to land a full combo.
Yeah.
Welcome home.
Is that why you always get those secret procs, is because you only throw your combos actually at Mephistos that you know are going to show up in one spot?
You know, I as much as I like Seeker, I'm a Calamity man. I just like to have fun with Seeker.
Gem turn in, B-Kid, gonna start the final channel. Top Webweaver will not make too much happen.
Yeah, Dread, these lanes are not pushed out.
No, not at all, and that's why Freedom, I think, was willing to give up that turn-in so easily, is because they're like, if this Webweaver phase comes through here, only one can be a problem. And normally I think that's okay, but as you pointed out, mainly there's one character that makes one Webweaver not a big enough play, and that's Gul'dan. He will just Echo Corruption dominate this. Like, if we see a full rotation here, watch Lutano here hit this thing. Should chunk it. Actually, that was 1E.
Yeah. Very well done there. Top lane has Malthael responding. Bot lane so far pushed out. They do have Hyperion available, does Endemic. If they want to force their hand in one of these lanes, that would be a great sieging tool. There's still another corruption. Lutano just has to wait for this to move forward. Wait for it to get into position.
Hit him with it.
There it is.
Call it a day.
Now the top lane. Under assault, Hyperion up. There's enough minions here. They can make something happen. Michael Udall goes in with that shade. Consume souls will buy space.
Yo, this Horrify, though. If they keep up here, this may be a huge Horrify flank. Lutano trying to get in position. Mike Udall, though, able to zone off.
I'm surprised there weren't more resources committed to the top by Team Freedom once the Gul'dan effectively rid of that mid lane by itself, but Endemic making good use out of that Hyperion. It's kind of like putting the nail in the coffin in that top keep.
I think for me, it was the Maiev made it why it was so appealing. If you look at the disengage factors of Team Freedom, it's between the Horrify and the Warden's Cage. One of those is acceptable to be not in that defensive lane, but when both display, and you could say, well then why is it, you know, the Gul'dan versus the Maiev, whose responsibility is to rotate? It's whoever doesn't clear faster. And I think we answered that pretty clearly. Lutano is the Webweaver destroyer here of Freedom.
Night Camp picked up by Team Freedom, 8 gems shy of having another turn in for themselves. Dansky will pick up the Siege Giants. Endemic finding themselves down 2-0 in this series, trying to pick up victories, keep their BlizzCon hopes alive. Else Team Freedom will look to move on. Octalis is watching along as they will be facing the winner of this series tomorrow afternoon.
Bottom Giants have to be dealt with by Freedom. And they're all making the transition now. No Webweaver phase available for a long while, though, for Endemic. Without the boss up for a hot minute here.
Ooh, Malthael showing top, so they're trying to see if they can make a play in the bottom as Endemic. Credit to Endemic. They're being aggressive. They are not relenting. They're trying to make plays happen. Team Freedom just doing a good job of holding off on that catapults in the top lane for the rest of the game for Endemic. Always a good defense versus those Webweavers.
Thrall zoning off as Mike Udall gets a baby turn in there of 10 gems. With boss available, it makes the turn-in and Webweaver phase a little bit more questionable. Hold on, Zugrug found himself a cure. He didn't go for the Shadow Charge, but he gets the Lightning Breath. Tether brings it back. Lightning Breath interrupted. There goes the Sundering along with the Echo Corruption. Now Mike Udall comes in with the Consume Souls. He ends up getting the proc there, but the dodge as the fall comes through. Out from the Maiev. Yoda down. Now Mike Udall coming back as Zugrug is going to be the focus. He is surviving forever there on that Diablo. But eventually, it comes to an end. 2-0 in favor of Endemic, and now a boss.
Once Diablo stacked, it feels like I'm fighting Diablo from his own game. That's how tough Diablo is to take down in those situations. Dreadnought, Team Freedom, they have a Horrify available. See if they try and fight here. They're down a man, but they have catapults. There's no keep in the top lane for defense. There's the toss. Collusion, he's in deep there. There's going to be the fall of Deckard. B-Kid staying alive will go and try and support his team. Biggie staying alive.
Lutano has to get
Michael
in position.
Zugrug trying to
can
get
do
this.
it. Lutano
B-Kid
can
is
do
dead.
this. Lutano has the oh, he dropped the Horrify already beforehand. Can he get the clear? The damage, they actually, oh my J-How. They somehow hold off. They zone
and they
out.
give up the turn-in. Dread, this could be Team Freedom.
That's what I'm saying, J-How, is Freedom just won the dang series at this point. How did they hold on to that? It is a miracle.
2 series, 2 throw pits. The corruption lands. They have to get damage onto this boss. They have to get it down. The catapults will not matter at this point.
And J-How, if they hit 20, that Lightning Breath is just going to be upgraded. Lightning Breath, 200% duration and mad value on the core. 20 seconds out. I don't know if Endemic can stall.
Hyperion 8 seconds away. The Web Weavers will be landing momentarily. The boss still at about 60% health.
I think that means they can't go for it. I don't think they can go for it now.
He's trying to live on this. Deckard Cain still making his way down the lane. Team Freedom moving over to the mid lane. This will be double Web Weavers onto the core. Team Freedom trying to book their ticket for tomorrow in a showdown with Octalysis. Hyperion is down. Endemic with all members alive. Here comes Mephisto. Zugrug going in. B-Kid with the toss over, trying to get the stun. Trying to hold on here, but the shields have fallen. The core is falling. And right now, Endemic 50% and falling. And Team Freedom has done it here as they close out this game on a throw pit versus Endemic. Twice.
I have no idea how Team Freedom was able to hold on to that at the very end there. I mean, shout out to Lutano. He split off on the side the whole time, waited for a Horrify to be at a very high impact moment, made sure he got the damage output, but the fact that Zugrug is up there holding his own on the Diablo, like in a 1 versus 3 for a period of time, you got people off on the side we couldn't even see that were skirmishing, and they hold on, a man down.
Diablo had Souls Reset, comes in as the weakest version of Diablo you possibly can. Deckard got popped at the start of that fight too.
Yeah. And
we can actually take another look at that. We actually have that on replay, so I got to see this again myself, Dread.
So starting off, nothing that surprising, right? We got a boss start. Here's the play, the last stand here. And now notice the flank from Nasmus. That's a very big thing to highlight. No point of retreat from Endemic. Notice how when they find a Nasmus, they're like, okay, this is going to be a little bit more difficult here, but the one shot onto Deckard before Lornado even comes in. Forces Zugrug to get aggressive. And then watch how Zugrug's just dancing. Nasmus, so much damage on the back line. All from the Gul'dan thrown out. And at this point, if you're Lutano, you just go, don't die. Make sure I can take this 2 versus 2, and this is my boss.
Wild. 2 times today. Those have got to hurt, Dread. I mean, those have to hurt.
They do. I think they probably do. But I think that those are lessons that are really good on one battleground, and that's Tomb. Because Tomb is the only battleground where I think it's very easy to be like, we had a Web Weaver phase. We tried to make something happen. They had a good defense, so we just aren't going to do anything. Because when you have to deal with that boss later on because you realize your win condition is just impossible without something major to give you a big advantage over your opponent, it forces you to go, okay, boss fights are hard. Let's worry more about our Web Weavers next time. Let's make sure that those are always going to be high impact so that when that boss happens, it is so lopsided in our favor, it's not contestable at any point in time. That's not just for one team. That's just the entirety of Tomb. It's a very weird battleground, and it makes moments like that. I think, yes, they are painful, but probably one of the only ones where it's a very big moment where it'd be like, do we have to be in this situation?
I am remembering everything that happened, but I do know one thing is that tomorrow, Team Freedom versus Octalysis.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk to Zugrug. We'll talk about the series. We'll talk about Octalysis at the end of it. But Zugrug, what an ending there on Tomb, man. How you feeling after that?
Feeling good. I mean, that game, you know, we were behind for a lot of it. Kind of played bad early, but had a good fight over boss and close it out. So it was nice to get the 3-0.
Well, being behind was something you didn't find in games number 1 and 2. You kept it the Team Freedom way. You played the macro strategy. You ran the Anubarak Greymane. those are your battlegrounds. It seemed easy. Do you expect that same type of resistance? Do you expect something different? Because we noticed the Junkrat bans early, something that thwarted you guys in the previous series. You guys took that off. Do you guys just say, hey, look, until somebody stops us, we just keep doing this? What's the thought process?
Well, yeah, if we're winning with the Anub Gray, like, and we don't have to show any other strategies, like, it helps us a lot in the playoffs, being able to not show anything. So if we can win with the same draft, why not do that?
So you're saying you've got some special things prepared going forward?
Yeah, I mean, we might have to use them, we might not, who knows? But if we go with the Anub Gray, then maybe that's all we'll play.
We'll see. I'm going to send you over to Dread.
With that thought process here of trying to hide as much as you possibly can, do you feel like you got away with a lot of that today? I know from our perspective, it very much was that, but for the goals that you guys set as a roster on getting the wins, but also hiding information, knowing that Octalysis would be the next opponent, what's the status level from your guys' end?
I feel like we basically played the same drafts we did last week, so they shouldn't have like extra information. So I think we accomplished what we wanted with the quick 3-0.
And then is there anything now, I guess, after the experience here in day number 1 of the playoffs and going up against Octalysis that you feel like you're going to be able to get yourself a major upper hand going up against them? Because I can't help but feel like after the last couple of weeks of play here, Octalysis is debatably one of the most intimidating members of the North American playoffs.
Yeah, well, the thing with Oct is you really don't know what they're going to bust out every week. Like, week to week, they have, like, a new special comp, so we just got to be quick to adapt to whatever they decide to run.
Well, I wish you the best of luck going into tomorrow, and hopefully it looks as clean as it did today there. I'll give you back to JL.
Zug, I talked to you earlier this week, but now that we've got you here, you do play Octalysis tomorrow. And I think it's very well known at this point. There's a little grudge match forming there and some back and forth. How do you approach this psychologically to make sure that you don't get too worked up? Are you looking for revenge? Like, what is the mindset knowing that Octalysis is your next opponent?
I mean, there's definitely, like, some bad blood between the teams, but we got to just go into the series, like, treat it like any other series, not be like, oh, man, we have to beat these guys. You know, we don't want to feel any pressure or anything, you know, just treat it like any other series and come out and win.
It's going to be fun to watch. We're looking forward to it. We'll give you the floor for now for shout-outs. Maybe we'll get some more from you tomorrow, but for now, we'll give them to you today.
All right. Shout out to our sponsor, Team Freedom. Shout out to my teammates. Shout out to our coach, Levies. And shout out to all of our fans and to Twitch chat.
All right, Zagrug, we'll see you tomorrow.
Guys.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
To say that is a can't-miss match is an understatement of epic proportions. Tomorrow's matchup, and we still have Tempo Storm just waiting on Sunday. They are watching everything. They're going to be like, all right, let's see what happens. But tomorrow's matchup, Team Freedom versus Octalysis, that is about as spicy as it gets.
Yeah, I think the best way to kind of talk about it, beyond all the background of these two teams and all the amazing things that have kind of been brewing over the past couple weeks, the biggest difference for me is, like, today was, I feel like we have our teams in the Crucible, and we just today got past that kind of gap. That is the I'm just better than you gap. It feels like we have in North America, whereas that group of rosters that goes, even if they draft a little wonky, they might just show that's why they're in the position that they are. Now that we're at that, it's starting with the juicy drama there of Octalysis and Freedom, and then whoever wins that, you're like, now you got to take on Tempo Storm. And so suddenly it's like, wait a minute. The longest standing, most successful North American org ever, like, are you going to be able to get the upset to kind of break maybe North American history? It's an awesome weekend going into Saturday and Sunday.
I'm excited. I really am excited. Hopefully we see you guys back tomorrow. That's going to do it for us tonight. But tomorrow, Octalysis versus Team Freedom. Do not miss it. We'll see you then.